Hey there, podcast listeners. Dr. Sheep here. I'm joined by my friend, Anonymous Phil.
Hi.
So all these podcasts are broken down into 3 parts as per the usual. Sorry, checking to make sure the table's not touching the tripod. We've had complaints about that. Anyways, all these podcasts are broken down into 3 parts. First, talking about the news, then how our weeks have been, answering your questions, and then finally, we talk about our main topic. Today's main topic is if humans just disappeared, like that. Anyways, so today's news, historic launch yesterday, because today is March 2nd, actually this morning, fun fact, SpaceX's DM1 launch, and you don't know anything about it until I just told you about it just now.
Yeah.
So, if you don't know what it is, SpaceX has been working on a Crew Dragon capsule that they will put humans in and send them up to the International Space Station. So, as this is part of NASA's commercial program, they're also paying Blue Origins, which is Jeff Bezos' company, to also send people into space. And they're also working on it, but SpaceX has beat them to the first commercial launch with a intended to be crewed. It wasn't crewed this time, just a test, but an intended to be crewed capsule from the United States. Let's get a little perspective here. The United States hasn't launched crewed stuff from the United States since 2012, and that was the Space Shuttle Atlantis. It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And this has also been light because the Soyuz capsule in Russia went from 20 million a seat to 80 million a seat because Russia's like, oh, we're the only people that can do this.
Oh, we haven't sent people.
We send people to Russia, and then Russia sends them to the International Space Station.
Oh, that's how it's been since 2012?
Mm-hmm. And it's been 80 million a seat. Well, it went from 20 million to 80 million a seat.
To send them to Russia and then to the ISS?
What? Just to send them to the ISS.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
And SpaceX, I'm pretty sure, is going to do, like, I think it's like 10 million a seat, maybe? I don't know what it is, actually. It's not very much. It's tiny, though.
And these are scientists or, like, just paying civilians?
Scientists. They're going to be normal astronauts. We won't see a paying civilian go until the Starship, which should be 2020.
Oh, yeah, the Virgin Galactic, right?
No, that's not. No, that's a different company. That's a different company. Which I think they're getting close, but actually...
There was an article in the paper, they reached the Kármán line.
They didn't get there, though. It was only at 90,000.
Oh, they didn't quite? I thought they were like... They got pretty damn close.
No, they got really close, but this is just one of their tests,
Mm-hmm.
but it turns out it's not going to make it to...
Oh.
You do get to go 0G, but you're not going to make it to space. You still get your astronaut wings, but you're not going to make it to space.
That's because NASA defines a different altitude than the Kármán line.
Yeah.
Yeah. NASA has a slightly lower...
Slightly. It's pretty low, actually. I think...
all right. Well, depending how you define slightly, but they have a lower altitude that you need to reach. That's below the Kármán line.
Because the U-2 spy planes, I believe, if you go in those, which is like 60,000 feet, you get your astronaut wings. So it's significantly lower, which I think is interesting. So, you were saying about the SpaceX rocket, you saw it driving down I-80.
No, I did not see it driving down I-80. I said, what if you saw it driving down I-80?
Yeah, and what did you say about it?
I said, could you imagine just seeing that thing? It's like, is that like some missile coming down?
Yeah, 30 meters long.
I mean, like, I've been driving down I-80 with, like, the wing, like the rotors of, like, wind turbines.
Yeah.
I mean, those things are just massive. If you ever...
Yeah, I wonder what those lengths are. I wonder if they're the same length of this
I don't
rocket.
know. Those things are
shorter.
massive, and
Yeah.
they can only haul one at a time, and they have to have the big, super oversized banner across the front of the truck.
Luckily, they don't go down a highway. They have their own stretch of road for this.
And then they have to have, like, safety vehicles in the front and behind.
Yeah. I'm also pretty sure, because look how small, if we look at this picture, look how small his tires are.
Look how small a person is.
What? Yeah, I mean, it's 30 meters long. But anyways, look how a small, well, some of the wheels are kind of small. Look how, like, that's a relatively small tire for such a massive structure. I'm pretty sure the concrete on the interstate would just crack.
Probably.
So,
Granted, the interstate was designed to hold, though.
actual military vehicles.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Maybe. It might be fine.
That's actually how all the lanes were made. They made the lanes wide enough for military vehicles.
So, one interesting thing about SpaceX is that every single time they bring a rocket back, they actually make modifications to it because they're constantly learning things. But they actually had to freeze the design so they could get approved to send it to space because any design could cause it to blow up.
Yeah.
And so NASA's like, bro, you're going to have to stop. Which I can see why, but they haven't had a rocket blow up on the launch pad for a long time. They've had like 36 successful launches now in a row. Now, yes, they've had some landing failures, obviously, Falcon Heavy, but I mean, that doesn't affect the crew at all.
Yeah.
Actually, launching this crewed capsule doesn't take that much fuel at all, actually, compared to like launching some of the satellites. And the only reason why they have to land the first stage out on a drone ship is because NASA didn't want them to do a really steep pitch maneuver, so you can get the horizontal velocity. Is because they're afraid it would cause too many G-forces.
Oh.
Because I mean, you gotta remember these rockets are going fast.
Yeah.
Like really fast. Are going surprisingly fast, and so doing these what are actually relatively tight pitch maneuvers would cause it. So you have to. So the rocket has to take a much larger arc maneuver. That way you don't kill your passengers.
Yeah.
And so the first stage has to land on the drone ship, where normally on a normal payload of that size it could land right back on the launch pad. Not on the launch pad, but on a pad next to it. Which, I mean, they put a dummy on it. They could have done the math to figure it out.
Yeah.
And actually, another thing, NASA had to make an exception for SpaceX because they use super chilled fuel.
Yeah.
And usually you load it before you put the astronauts on board. No, you load it after. I don't remember, but they had to make a special approval for SpaceX to load while astronauts are on the rocket or are loading the rocket. Because normally you load it before, then put the astronauts on. That way, if it blows up while refueling, people inside.
Yeah, sure.
But now they have to make an exception because of the super cool fuels that they use. It has to be reloaded and launched. It also makes the launch windows go from, like, say, the Atlas, which is non-super cooled fuel. They have, like, massive launch windows. But SpaceX has to be instantaneous, or else it's stuck for like another 5 days or years for sometimes on some of these. You didn't know this much about SpaceX, did you?
No, I don't read much about it.
Until today. You need to watch Everyday Astronaut.
Is that where you get all this information?
That's where I get all of my information.
Everyday Astronaut.
Yep. His live streams, I like him. He was actually at the DM1 launch.
Wait, is that a YouTube channel or website?
Yeah. He actually started out as an Instagram photographer, and then he just got famous from it, and so he went to YouTube. He's not that big. I mean, he's bigger than us. We're nothing.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's got only like 200,000 subscribers.
Oh.
You pulling out your phone reminds me I need to silence mine. Because I'm a popular person. I get messages all the time. And, actually, that reminds me. We just filmed 2 episodes. I still have yet to remind myself to plug the Instagram. I keep forgetting. I'm going to plug the Instagram right now. 9 minutes into this thing before we go to the next for the next news topic. Instagram, all lowercase, Dr_sheep_YouTube. Check me out. Follow us, please. Anyways, another news. Space probes that bring back asteroid material to Earth. Can you believe that's like we're actually at that point?
Yeah.
So I don't think the U.S. has any of these. I think it's the EU and Japan, I believe. Yep, University of Tokyo spent many years helping design a mission to Roku's surface, which is the asteroid they went and visited, to touch down safely the spacecraft. I can't pronounce that, and then gain some dust and then bring it back. But they couldn't find a 100% safe spot to touch down. This is from years ago. But the thing about that is that you have to find the right asteroid that would come close to Earth, and then you have to. Cause I don't know how these spacecraft work, because you have to get close to the asteroid, but then they have to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys know anything about orbital mechanics, you have to cancel out the horizontal velocity so that you can fall back to where the Earth's orbit is. So I don't know. These spacecraft must have. They're just impressive. But yeah, Bennu and Ryugu are the two asteroids that we've sent people to visit, and they're just barely taller than the Eiffel Tower. Well, they're about like twice the height of the Eiffel Tower. And I think it's just I think it's just the EU and Japan. No US. Of course, if the US were to do something, we'd send a crewed mission there, wouldn't we? Knowing us. And actually, if we're looking at a thing here, they're sending them there because, well, they have to be small, and they have to be carbon rich.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I'm assuming we're looking for the components to make life. Wouldn't you assume so?
Probably.
I seem to be the expert on this, aren't I? Anyways, we talked about this long enough. Actually, yeah. So here's so drop and dodge. So the sample Roku below service has to launch a projectile. Yep, I remember hearing about this. And then take a lap around the asteroid to avoid the damage. The spacecraft will then come back to the new hole in the ground and shoot a small bullet from its sampling horn. The bullet will splash on the surface, sending up dust into the crater, into the catcher, and then upper part of the horn. So they fire a projectile, they dodge it, the dust, they miss all the projectiles, then they send a smaller one that sends up just dust, which is caught in the collector, and then somehow this thing comes back to Earth. I still don't know how they do it. I guess I should have read up more. And I think this one's using a drill, actually. Wow, I should have actually read this. Osiris Rex. I wonder, that might be US. Oh yeah, it's between, never mind, I said it was the EU. I remember the EU did have one, but it crashed. I remember the EU was like the first ones to try this, but they crashed. Actually, Osiris Rex and Habrus, I can't pronounce it. It's Japan's version of Osiris Rex is NASA's. So yes, the US and Japan are both competing. I think Japan should win. I mean, I like America, but I think we've landed on the moon first. We're going back to the moon. I think we should let Japan win this one.
Yeah, the one thing leads to another. Next thing you know, Japan is on top. The new world superpower.
Japan? I mean, they tried in the 40s. You saw what happened to them.
Oh, no. I mean, they're just totally going to take us out.
I mean, they tried in the 40s. You saw what happened there.
They got things that'll make our hydrogen bombs look like a joke.
No, they don't. Anyways, that's enough of the news. We've been doing this for quite a while. Anyways, on to our weeks. How was your week doing?
Oh, just fine.
Oh, that's
Yours?
Not well. Not well at all.
Care to elaborate?
I have tests.
And they were awful?
Well, I've taken one so far.
Yeah?
I didn't study. Did surprisingly well. Got a 72. Still bad, but better than I thought I was going to do.
For
Then
what class?
That was macroeconomics. And
Oh, it doesn't matter anyways.
well, no, this goes towards my major. And then the other class is an online class, so there's no classroom time. You have to do everything yourself, and I put everything off to the last second, so I haven't read anything up until like today.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was doing that today, reading up on the lecture because the test is due tomorrow.
Mm.
So I'm doing the test tomorrow, and I have a stats assignment due tomorrow. Gosh, I'm stressed, but yet I'm here recording videos.
At midnight.
Anyways, on to the comments, because when I commented on an older video, Can You See a New Moon at Night? It's by Topless Tanks. Flawed logic in your diagram of the moon phase. Look at the full moon phase in your diagram. Now try to draw a line of light between the straight line from source to the moon. In order for it to be full in the sky, the Earth would need to be blocking the moon from the sun. Did they listen to the video?
Wait, look at the moon phase on your diagram. I'm not sure what they're referencing.
Okay, so you see, for it to be a new moon, it has to be between the sun and the Earth.
Yeah.
And for it to be a full moon, it has to be behind the Earth.
Yes.
They don't understand, like, you draw a straight line and the Earth's in the way.
Yeah, wait, just go back down to the comment. Try to draw a line of light. Just in that order.
Okay, but I don't think...
Oh! I see what they're saying. They're saying the Earth would be blocking the moon from the sun. So yeah. So I think you should reply with...
Well, that's what I'm working on. I was trying to explain... You're forgetting...
That it's at a 5-degree tilt.
Well, no, the 5-degree tilt also doesn't account for it. Remember, you know how shadows work, right?
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying though.
I know, but I mentioned that in the video. He still didn't listen.
But that's the answer.
But that's not just the only answer, though.
What answer do you think it is?
Remember the moon. Remember the moon is 60 Earth radii away.
Yes.
Well, shadows get smaller the further you get away.
No, they get bigger. It's a cone.
I thought it gets smaller. All the diagrams I see, it gets smaller.
No, it depends what type of shadow. There's the penumbral and the umbral.
I'm talking about the penumbral.
But it's both. Because you can have a penumbral eclipse and you can have an umbral eclipse.
Oh.
Because, yeah. I could draw a quick diagram.
Well, they can't see it.
Oh, but it's for you.
Yeah, no, I have my diagram in front of me.
It goes like this, and then this side, you'd have one, it goes like this. So the moon has to always be above this larger one.
Okay, well, then he just blatantly just didn't hear me say 5-degree tilt.
Yes, that's why I think that's the answer.
Multiple times.
So if you wanted to respond with an answer, say
well,
if you reference the video, the Earth is at a the moon is at a 5-degree tilt.
Thank you for your comment. However, thank you for your comment. Period. However, comma, I do mention.
You have a comma and a period.
Oh, my bad. However, gosh darn it, I can't type right now.
Capitalized.
That's what I'm working on.
Just make a comma.
No, because it's improper grammar. However, I do mention in the video.
Type in.
That the moon is at a 5-degree inclination.
Yeah.
How do you spell inclination?
Clin. C-L-I-N. A-chin. Is a right click. There you go.
inclination.
Oh, do you have Grammarly?
Yeah. I don't pay for it. I pay for the free one. And actually, it's not much better. If you pay for it, you get way more stuff, but I don't feel like paying.
Wait, don't you get, someone told me you get it for free as a student.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to pay for it.
You should look into it.
It's, Alright, 5-degree inclination, relative.
R-E.
I know, relative.
E.
I know. I don't have to think anymore. Thanks to the 21st century, spelling is unnecessary. Relative to the Earth. Period. Thus, the moon can be, quote unquote, behind the Earth
because it orbits above the shadow.
Behind the
Because it can orbit above the conic shadow.
Thus, the moon can be behind the Earth and still be illuminated.
By orbiting above the conic shadow. Say that part. I think that might help clear things up.
Oh my god.
Would you like me to type this for you?
Yeah, sure. Finish it up. Because anyways, we need to start getting on to the next topic. Anyways, because we're at 21 minutes. Actually, no, we have time. We can finish this. It can be illuminated. It is an eye. God darn it. Still be illuminated because it is orbiting above the conic shadow of the Earth. Thank you for your comment. Whoever I do...
Well, I still spelled it wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say it is an E. No, it's not.
It
You
is
have
an
a
I.
comment.
Oh, it's a comma.
Okay. Thank you for your comment. However, I do mention in the video that the moon is at a 5-degree inclination relative to the Earth. Thus, the moon can be behind the Earth and still be illuminated because it is orbiting above the conic shadow of the Earth. And if it goes in the shadow, that's an eclipse, and I've talked about lunar eclipses many times. Once in an actual podcast, because that same night there was a lunar eclipse. Sadly, we missed basically the entire thing because the weather here sucks. Yeah, talk about that this week. 6 inches of freaking snow. Unbelievable. We had a blizzard last Sunday night.
Yeah.
Oh my god. No, last Saturday night. And the snow is still here because it hasn't warmed up at all. And then it snowed another 2 inches today.
Why?
Yeah. Anyways, we do have one more comment.
And now he's going to reply in about 3, 2, 1.
Nope. He won't reply at all. He's like, oh, what? I was
No,
wrong.
he'll reply, oh, thank you so much.
No. Any of the people you respond to on these things are like, no, not wrong. Neither am I, sometimes.
Well, you were wrong about the one thing with the FDA with the corn.
What?
The corn? Or the one episode about GMOs?
Oh, no, I wasn't wrong. He was just like, why are you doing this? I'm like, it was an idea. I wanted to talk about it. I didn't think the entire internet knew. It was kind of targeted at people that were
Background
for
noise
GMOs.
is better now. Loving these podcasts.
Thank you, Spazzy McGee. Yes. The table was touching the tripod, and as you heard me at the beginning, I was making sure the table wasn't touching the tripod, and it still wasn't. Because that was extremely annoying in that podcast. But it's fixed. It's fixed. Yay. Anyways, today's topic. If
What do you want to talk about?
If all the people in the world disappeared right now, what would happen?
What do you mean? It would continue on as if nothing happened. The Earth would continue orbiting the
I'm
Sun,
not-
Mars would continue orbiting the Earth, Sun would continue giving off radiation, and yeah.
I don't think they were entirely looking for...
Black holes would still be a thing.
No. What would happen on the Earth, though?
Oh, there'd still be trees sprouting from the ground. There'd be no more pollution. I mean, you'd still have methane from the cows and whatnot.
Speaking of the cows, though, wouldn't those cows kind of die?
Well, I think what you would start to have is that you'd no longer have cows in their, well, how we view them in their domesticated form. You would almost, in a sense, like, age backwards, because now they'd have to go to an age where humans no longer have to milk them every day. Because, see, humans have to
Well,
milk...
that's dairy cattle.
Yeah, but what my point is that cows would start to de-evolve into a state that they were prior to human contact.
I don't know though, because we have cows in different locations on the earth that they thrive, but are completely different than where they were to begin with.
Yeah, but no, my point is that you can't. Cows that live today that are dependent on humans would have to age backwards or just cease to exist.
Well, I think we would see a completely different cow, especially. I mean, maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, evolution isn't going to work exactly backwards, but my point of working backwards is that it's going to go back to a cow that no longer relied on human contact, but because that cow came from a cow that did rely on human contact, of course it is going to be a new species of cow.
I'm thinking almost every single pig would be wiped out. No, take that back. When I was saying every pig would be wiped out, freaking wild hogs are just domestic pigs that are just running free. Never mind. Well, every animal that's locked in a pen that isn't like a pasture or something,
Guys.
they're dead.
Yeah. Yep.
Your dogs and cats that are locked inside, they're dead.
Unless they can find a way to get out and, scurry around the mainland searching for food. But they'll die eventually.
Well, cats will survive.
Yeah.
And wild dogs. They're all these. I mean, cats have wiped out so many freaking species of birds. I think they've wiped out over like 100 species of birds.
Yeah.
Your cats, man, they're dangerous creatures. They're just predators. And it's not even like they were trying to eat them. They just play with them and kill them because they're predators. Evil creatures. Yeah. And then, there's whole shows about that, actually.
Oh, yeah. About how plants will start to overtake all the human creations and are...
What was the show? Was it Life After Humans?
Yeah. Life After People or something.
Life After People, yep.
I've seen a couple episodes.
I remember one about Denver.
Yeah.
And how the show is so set up so weirdly.
But there was one about the Hoover Dam and how it can run for 4 years without humans. It's designed to run for 4 years without people going and tweaking it. But see, that one of the main problems that it would run into is that the pipes underground with the water, there's like these microbial fish that will come in and they'll clog up the pipes. And when that happens, then the whole system will just stop working. Which is why it's like one of the dirty jobs that they have to do is go in and clean those pipes out to prevent stuff from building up inside the pipe, because it blocks the water pressure.
That sounds like a fun time.
Yeah. Dirty jobs of America.
Was that on Did Mike?
I don't know.
I remember him cleaning turbines.
I don't know if it actually was on there, but they did mention it in Life After People.
I do remember him cleaning turbines. I don't remember, I remember him doing clean stuff at a dam. I don't know if it was Hoover Dam.
Mm.
But I do remember him cleaning. It was very claustrophobic, and you could also just fall to your death at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that sounds like a horrible place to be.
But then when you come home and you have that 7-figure paycheck.
I don't think those guys are getting paid 7 figures.
That's what they want you to think. Because they don't want people going in. Because as long as the market is small, and you have
No one wants to do that job.
Exactly, which is why people are going to pay big bucks for people to do it.
Even for $1 million, who wouldn't do it. And I'm pretty sure they have to have a degree to do that as well.
No, you need special training with the certification.
Taking the fun out of it.
Well, you would not go and clean out a turbine for $1 million a year. I mean, quite literally. If you did it for just 1 year, you have $1 million. That's like
Well,
winning the
less than
lottery.
that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, fine. My point is, you
2
take
years.
all that money, then put it away in a bank. Now you can do some mediocre job, like working at like some like fast food joint for minimum wage, and just live off the interest of $1 million a year. And now, so you're still bringing in a little bit of income from that from this like.
I would
burger
work a
joint.
better job than just that way you can like live off of that and then you can retire early.
Yeah, but my point that I'm trying to make is that you still have a tiny bit of income. You could be doing some, minimum wage job, bringing in a little bit of income, but you could still be living off the interest of $1 million a year, just doing that job with that one time. And now, you travel the world. What about all the other dirty jobs of America?
I don't think they pay as well as that one, maybe.
Probably not.
Anyways, also another thing everybody forgets about, and actually, have you seen any Avengers, Infinity War?
Yeah, I saw it in theaters.
You didn't go with me and
No, I saw it
did
with
you?
another group of friends.
Right, yeah. So no, I think one thing everybody forgets about, what about those nuclear reactors? You have half the amount of scientists, or in this case, no scientists running that.
Yep.
Fukushima, or
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl, there it is.
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl, both of those were devastating. Well, Fukushima not as much.
Yeah.
Almost was, because what? The radiation almost leaked into the ocean? Could have killed like everybody in the world?
Yeah.
Fun time. One reactor. And there are hundreds of those around the world?
Yeah. Imagine if they all went off simultaneously.
Well, I'd hope they were manually shut down.
Oh, no. I hope they go out in the most catastrophic way possible. I mean, we're not around. So it doesn't matter.
True. I think life on this planet would cease to exist if humans disappeared just like that.
If something were to happen where all humans were just vanished, except for me, like I was just like the one human.
You would
left
go
on
extinct just as fast as any of the rest of life on the planet.
See what you do is now. I can live like a scavenger. I can live in a grocery store.
Until the food expires.
Until the food expires. No, I can frozen food lasts for like 4 years. I mean, have you
Once you
looked
run out of power.
Have you looked at the? Yeah, that's true.
Don't you remember the nuclear? I mean, okay, you could do.
Okay, so I drive up north and bury
not
my
unless
food.
you were in Germany.
I'll drive up north and bury my food in the ground.
I mean, what? No, not unless you're in Germany.
What about in Germany?
Well, in Germany, their entire electrical grid is based on wind and solar.
Yeah.
Now, funny enough, their greenhouse emissions did go up, but that's because they weren't completely prepared yet, and so they had no way of storing the energy. Because nobody called up Elon Musk. Dummies.
No, but then.
Then
then after a while, then you will go insane. And then, if you want to die, if you just want to like commit suicide or something.
Insane? I don't think you'd go insane.
You'd set off every single nuclear reactor all at once.
The nuclear reactors are going to go off anyways.
No, but you want them all to go off simultaneously.
They are going to go off simultaneously.
Oh, you don't think it'll just be like one, and then another one, and then one?
Okay, the most sophisticated ones, the most modern ones, which are still the 80s, are going to last the longest, which won't be that long. And then the ones built in Russia that are crap will go off basically that same day.
I went like that instant.
Well, I give you a month. I guarantee you'd be dead in a month. I'm not talking like from radiation poisoning. I'm not talking starving to death or killed by rabbit. Well, there would be no ravages, or whether they'd just be like animals. Or killed by animals, you'd be dead within a month from radiation. Especially if you're going to be in Germany then, where at least all the power, where you at least still have power some of the time.
Have you ever seen a very...
Actually, you know what? It wouldn't work.
Wouldn't work?
Going to Germany, because there's no... The solar panels are going to get any power during the night. So you'd have to find a one that's like linked up to solar panels and windmills, and hope to God the windmills keep running during the night.
I will say though, have you ever seen Veritasium did that thing where he went to, I think it was Chernobyl, but then he measured the nuclear output in terms of bananas.
Oh, I've heard about the freaking bananas. Because this is the potassium, 30...
Right, yeah, I forget what the number is. But
It's like potassium 35 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, on the note of wiping out all of humanity and you being the only person left and trying to survive in Germany, where you would get wiped out by radiation anyways, from Chernobyl, that's the end of it. So, I'd like to thank you all for listening. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. New podcast every other Friday, 4:30 p.m. Central Time, and good night.